So I've been thinking about starting a YouTube channel for quite a long time, like maybe a couple of years. I used to have one and it was not successful or anything, but I had a few videos up and there were quite a few views. It's almost like a, not a viral video, but I had a couple of things that I did and it happened to get quite a few views. And one time I just deleted the whole channel. And it was just because I got a bit disillusioned with social media, I think. And with YouTube, my YouTube channel is one of those things I just nuked. And it's a bit of a shame, but um, anyway, my brother-in-law was around the other day, and I was showing him around the board game room, I call it, but it's sort of like a hobby room, really. And I thought I'd make it into a video, and in the end, I decided that I would quite like to do YouTube videos, but not your typical algorithm hunting ones, but more like just fireside chats, if you like. So when we were looking around the room, we walked past this area, and I jokingly referred to it as Romero Corner, and I've never called it that, but the next day I was thinking, hang on, Romero Corner, that's pretty cool kind of setting for a friendly chat, and if someone's into gaming or horror or that kind of thing, they might get the reference. And anyways, I created this space in my board game room because originally it was just a spare room. There's quite a lot of space, but there were boxes and my camping stuff and all kinds of things. And I wasn't really playing games as much because it wasn't as comfortable to come in here. It wasn't really a space you'd want to hang around in, so I just sort of had a semi kind of serious go at trying to make it more like a man cave, if you like. And so this area is part of that, and so here we are. And I thought Romero Corner would be a good place to have these chats. And the first thing I wanted to talk about really is more hobbies in general, and what hobbies are these days and why do we do them. We were talking the other night about whether we feel that we should apologise for our hobbies in a way, or if we feel embarrassed by it. And my brother-in-law, we were talking about, he likes Transformers and he collects those. And it gets He-Man figures, and it's more into the nostalgic toy thing. And I'm into the board games, of getting into Warhammer, and I'm getting into collectible card games as well a little bit. And I thought that, when you go around and people say, "What do you do?" And aside from work, that is, I say, well, I like playing board games, and you always have to do this little speech afterwards. That's like, well, they're not like Monopoly, and they've got rules, and they're complicated, and it's almost like you have to justify what you do. And I'm thinking, why do I do that? Because people don't look at you like, well, what board games? They might think, oh, can you play? Because I play solo board games. They're a bit confused about that sometimes, and playing board games on your own sounds a bit weird to some people. But generally speaking, the board game thing is a bit more, I don't know, a bit more popular these days. But I also have that thing with, can't really get my head around this hobby with my brother-in-law and Transformers. Obviously I loved the stuff back in the day. I used to like Mask a lot. When I look at pictures of Mask toys, I have that horrible nostalgic feeling that, I don't know, it's a cross between brilliant feeling and the most horrible feeling you can have. And I think he quite enjoys that, and he still collects Transformers. And my thing is, when you do something like that, you collect something to have there. It doesn't do anything, and it's there to look at, which I find strange because when I look at board games, I see a potential to have fun or to have an adventure. Or I look at my board game collection like a bookshelf. It's a story in a box waiting to be told, in a way. And when it's things that just sit on the shelf, essentially, especially if you're a collector, I'm like, oh, it's a bit of a shame that. He actually not plays with them, but he transforms Transformers. Doesn't sit there, play with them, and stuff. And then I started thinking, well, actually, I've got stuff. I'm into Electric Six, so I've got Electric Six posters. I've obviously got my board games there. They're sort of a display in themselves, and I've got my Dawn of the Dead pictures. They're not meant for YouTube. This room was never designed for YouTube. It's just for me as a cool space to hang out in. So what's the point of these hobbies? You know, there's a lot of hobbies around that are, I would say, marketed and done by middle-aged people, or adults, not necessarily middle-aged people, adults of all ages, and obviously young people as well. And when it comes to adults, it's a bit different than it used to be. You know, I used to play board games and used to play D&D back when I was young, and for me it was just a thing that you did, and it wasn't as much of a serious endeavour as it is now. Obviously things are more expensive and whatnot, but you kind of lose that. Or, you know, I had Hero Quest when I was a kid, and I kept it in a musty old cupboard, and I'd drag it out and chewed the bits and everything. And looking back now, that's insane, you know. And I'm just wondering, you know, what it is about collecting things. You know, what is the feeling we're trying to get when you collect these stuff? And I'm not talking about playing the games. I'm talking about having the games and having the FOMO and getting the expansions that you never play and all of that. You know, that's what I kind of don't. I get the feeling that I want to do it, and I've really stopped that. I've whittled my collection down to you know, still quite a lot for some people, I guess, but I think it's about 60 games or something, and it used to be a lot more than that. And I've had things come and go, and I've spent a load of money, and I'm now on Warhammer. I'm doing a bit of Warhammer, and I'm trying to keep that at the bare minimum, just to play games with. But yeah, it's very easy to get sucked into each game. Could be a hobby in itself, especially with Warhammer, you know. And you could there's some board games that I've got, like Arkham Horror, the card game, for example. That could be a whole hobby in and of itself. How much do you get? And it's a very good big temptation to get everything you can while you can, and just have it sit there on the shelf. And that's probably what I'm trying to get away from. Anyway, I'm a bit rambling a bit now, but really this is just to talk about this. You know, what do you think? Do you apologise for your hobby when you talk to someone? Are you proud of it? Do you only sort of keep it to the people that are going to understand? You know, do you call it something else to people? What do you do? You know, when someone asks you what hobbies have you got? So it's mainly about that, and then also more generally. I mean, this is my first proper video on this channel, so I just wanted to say hello, basically, and talk about something that I find interesting. I hope you find it interesting as well. If you're here now and you've made it through the rest, hopefully you find it semi-interesting, or you're just fascinated by my beard or bald head or whatever, you know, transfixed. So what I aim to do anyway is have a regular sort of sit down and chat in Romero Corner, and get a coffee, have a coffee and a chat. Eventually I want to do live streams. That's what I really want to do, and so that I can talk to people live, which is what I kind of fancy doing. I haven't got enough subscribers at the minute, so I'm hoping that will change. And once I've got enough subscribers to be able to do these sort of live chats, then I'll do that, I think, and maybe sort of get out and about and do some videos and things of what I find interesting. But anyway, I'm going to go now before I ramble on any further. So I hope you like the video. I'd like to, you know, invite you to come back again if you like this, and drop comments in, or, you know, ask questions, or think about topics to talk about. Otherwise I'll just pick one. You know, I'm going to pick maybe a game to talk about, or maybe I'll talk about something else, like unrelated to hobbies next time. Maybe I'll talk about music or my band. Got a band called the Volunteers, which is getting back together again after a big gap. If you have a look on my channel, you'll see some old Volunteers videos that I whipped together recently. I think they're from like 2005, so, you know, makes me feel old looking at those videos, I can tell you. But yeah, so hope you come back. Hope to see you again soon, and thanks for watching. See you later.